Hello, I'm Paula Sheil here at Tuleburg Press. Tuleburg Press is a publishing company, but we also operate The Right Place. And The Right Place is a book art center where we offer creative writing and book arts, including letterpress printing, bookbinding, and paper making. Today I want to talk about paper making because I have been mentored for the last 3 years by a Stockton treasure, Kathy Crump. I'm going to do a shared screen now and share a little bit of her life and her work with you. So Kathy Crump is 91 years old. She has been making paper for almost all of her adult life and exploring various book structures. Here's a piece of paper that's done with pulp painting to achieve this cloud-like effect. And she takes these papers that she makes and uses them in the books that she creates. Here's an example of an art piece, though, that demonstrates her ability with color, form, and texture. So I met Kathy when I wanted to make paper from hops. I had been working with Highwater Brewing Company of Lodi, and we thought it would be interesting to see if we could make paper from the vine. So here's what it looks like after the hops have been harvested. At Kathy's home, we cut it up into small pieces, took it into the studio, weighed it, started cooking. This process takes several hours because you're trying to separate the fiber from the stalk. Here are the hop flowers, the dried hop flowers that we separated from the vine initially. In the end, we didn't get any fiber really from the vine. And ultimately, we had to use abaca to create the paper. We had to use a different paper stock and when I say stock this time, I mean S-T-O-C-K, to run through the beater to create the paper, and then we just added the bits of the vine stalk, S-T-A-L-K, and the petals from the flowers. It still produced a level paper, but wasn't what we thought we were going for initially because we could not make paper from hop vines. Now, Kathy's been making paper for almost all of her adult life, and here are some examples of how she uses paper in her book structures. She made all of the paper involved in this process. And again, you see how much she loves color and ink and everything associated with book making. Here she's showing us some end sheets from some paper she made in a book she bound. More that she used where she used pulp painting. And here is where she's taken a drawing and she's using it as an illustration in this particular book. And here she's showing a book that she has bound. And this is not paper making, but this is paper marbling, and all good bookmakers, bookbinders learn how to do paste pages and paper marbling because those are components of good bookbinding, and you use those on the inside cover, okay, of a book. Now last year, Drew Matat came from Hamburg, Germany, where he is a paper maker, to visit us at Tuleburg Press and to help us get involved with the Peace Paper Project. And that's where we take military garments, pulp them, and create paper, and then work with the veterans in a writing, some kind of writing or artistic format to transform their military garments into art. So he came, and it was just a delightful day with Kathy, where they were talking paper making in a much more intensive conversation than I have ever been involved in, because I'm just not at the level of either of these two people at this point in my life. So we went through all of Kathy's projects. You can see how much she loves earthy colors and presentations. And again, here's a view of her studio, and she's going through more of her work with Drew. Here's some examples of fibers and things that she collects. I show you this because these are molds and decals, and that's actually the equipment that you use to sluice through the paper pulp to create the paper. And I'm going to give a shout out to Lee McDonald because he's one of the premier mold and decal makers in the world, and he is the individual who made the Oracle beater, the pulping machine that we use now at Tuleburg Press. He is soon to retire, so I'm grateful that he's part of our paper making journey. Here, Drew is looking at a piece that Kathy made, and notice the scale. Kathy's not about just making paper that's 8.5 by 11 and for book formats. This is a very large piece. And here is a much larger book too, an accordion fold book that she's opening up. Now, here's where she takes paper pulp and molds it over a vessel, an overturned vessel, to create bowls. And these show you her interest in both texture and color. This is really one of my favorites because it looks just like a tulip, and the edges are very petal-like. Again, here are some examples of Kathy's work in the service of her bookbinding. This is an interesting little project because she took a presentation box of tea bags and used the flag book structure, and all the other paper that's in this book is all paper that she made, and then she put a tea bag on each of the flaps and created a whole brand new presentation of these tea bags because she liked the colors. Kathy's also just really adept at all these folded structures. You can tell how that folds outside the binding. This is the charm project here because it's a tunnel book and you look through it all the way to that back picture. Interesting tunnel book because you look the circle all the way through to the colors all the way to the back, and that is all handmade paper with a mold and decal with that circle shape in it, so each piece of paper that you make is that circle shape. And here it is in its extension, and you can see here how it looks when you look through it. What you're looking at here is a display of Kathy's work at the Right Place for one of our open houses. And finally, we end with a picture of Kathy in her own home and a beautiful large-scale bowl that she made. And inside all of her bowls, she likes to place natural objects because her paper making is of the earth. She definitely uses plant material in myriad ways to create her art, and in a way kind of gives back to the earth her own version of its beauty. So thank you for watching today, and know that when you come to the Right Place and work with us, you are actually being given some of Kathy's artistic brilliance, because that's really the way it works. You learn from people who studied before you, and your job, once you learn, is to pass it on. So come to Tuleburg Press and learn how to make paper. Thank you.